Test 1 2 1 2. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Eid Mubarak. Merry Mubarak.
Yeah, 1 week before Ramadan. I don't know if I'm ready. It's gonna be a little weird.
14 days.
14 days.
Bro, I went to the masjid today and someone stole my slides.
Fully?
Like they took my slides, so I was walking around looking for like slides to take for mine.
Oh, that's the tradesies.
Yeah, so if you go downstairs and see my slides, like the navy blue ones I used to always wear, I think like they're Hurleys. I don't know if it's off or anything.
Yeah, no.
If you go downstairs and look at mine right now, they're Adidas because I took
That's
them.
so sad, bro. I'm so
I took
sorry for you.
Adidas, which is more expensive because those things are comfortable as hell, bro.
The Hurleys?
The Adidas that I stole.
So maybe it was a bad thing, but it was a good trade.
But what was funny was, a lot of people I overheard them. They're like, hey, "Bro, I can't find my slides. Where are my slides?" And so it was like me and like two other guys walking around, like, "You can't find your slides? I can't find my slides."
Sometimes I don't know if this ever happened at your mosque. There is like a general stealing of slides because like a homeless guy or something will come by,
I don't know.
or someone who wants to steal stuff because they'll know we're in prayer right now, and then go take all of the chappal and everything and then just go.
Well, I went to the bathroom because like there's some slides in the bathroom sometimes. I was like, did someone just take it and throw it in the bathroom, thinking these are like so old we just use it? They weren't even in the bathroom.
Well, see, think about it like this: you stole someone's slides because someone stole your slides. But what if they stole yours because someone stole theirs? And what if they stole theirs because someone stole theirs?
What did Omar say? He said it perfectly because this has happened to him a million times before. The law of equivalent exchange.
Yes.
There you go. Done.
Yes.
All right.
Hey everybody, what's going on?
Hello,
Welcome
guys.
back to the Two Bros in a Beard podcast. My name is Asad.
My name is Ibrahim.
You know, today or the other day I went to chemistry not tutoring, I guess, like help.
Yeah.
And I was talking with my other Indian professors about how their names are spelled and how people say them, and there were other non-Indian kids in class, right, who were like trying their best. And it was so sweet. It was like the most like nice like example of racial unity I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because the white kids were like, I can't pronounce it, but I'm trying. And our teachers were like, you can't pronounce it, but I like that you're trying. And I got a lot of other crap before, so you trying in general is just very sweet to me. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I hate it when white people mispronounce it.
I hate it.
And they were all like trying to be nice, and I was like, I guess I'm in a room full of sweet people, so this is me being I'm too negative for the space right now. And then I was like, oh yeah, but people are, they're trying their best. It's great. And they're like, yeah, it was good.
I've gone to the point where if I'm paying at like a restaurant or something, they're asking for my name. I'll give them my credit card so they can like write down the name on my credit card.
That's kind of smart.
And I'm like, here, read this.
And then they'll get your credit card numbers and then
everything. I mean, they're really going to take my information since I'm sliding in, my chips going in.
No, that's actually happened. Cashiers will like take a picture of people's credit cards before they swipe it because the computer's going to read it, but then they'll read it too.
True.
So that's why my dad is always like, are you looking?
What's it called? What's funny was, as we were doing our introductions and you said Asad and I said Ibrahim, you started talking and I was like, I wonder how when I say Ibrahim, it comes off. Because I've sometimes said like Ibrahim, but it sounds like Abraham, or like I might have like I'm slurring or something, and it comes off with an A instead. And I vividly remember like teaching myself, like, there's Abraham or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, so I vividly remember like teaching myself to say E and like smiling when I say E, so people can like hear that there's like an E in it.
Yeah.
And right now when I was saying it, I was like, how do I say it whenever I introduce myself? What am I doing again? But yeah.
It's really weird because like when I talk to my family, there's no impulse. But when I like say it for the podcast, I have to remind myself, say it the right way. Because my natural instinct is, if anybody not your family is out there, just say it the way they would want to hear it. Don't say it the way you need it, because it doesn't really matter.
Do you say Asad or Asad or?
I think I just said Asad.
I think you said the brown version. I was about to say Arabic version, but whatever. The Arabic version, and
there's so many, bro. There's a Syrian, a Persian.
I mean, they're all
Arabic, Urdu, Pakistani.
The first two are Arabic.
They're still said a little differently.
You say the cultural version, and I just say my name like Ibrahim.
Well,
hi.
Okay, so the thing is,
because I'm not gonna say like Ibrahim, because I know they're not gonna pick it up like that well.
The thing about Ibrahim, especially because of the way your parents say it, is if we say it, even though we're saying it correctly, it sounds like we're like yelling at you.
Yeah, I get scared.
It sounds like we're like your parents, and that's why we can't be like Ibrahim, because even the tone of it sounds like someone's calling your name.
Yeah.
Right. So like,
My mom, whenever she yells at me or like tries to wake me up, she doesn't even say the I in the beginning of my name. She says Ibrahim, and I'm like,
shoot.
what did I do?
Oh,
What did I do?
no, bro.
To the point where like when my sister was getting married and all my aunts and uncles came over and like they were sleeping at our house and my mom would wake me up, she would yell Ibrahim and everything, but in a very like specific tone, trying to wake me up. That all my aunts and uncles and everything, they'll know your mother's trying to wake you up or your mother's calling you just based off of like the tone. So I went to California a little while ago or a couple weeks ago, and they're like, "Is your mom here?" I'm like, "What? Why?" She goes, "Because we're gonna close the door so she doesn't wake you up." I'm like, "What are you talking about, bro?"
We're gonna help you. We're gonna get you.
Yeah,
out
like
here.
they know. And my uncle, as a joke, the next day woke me up in that same tone that my mom was calling my name.
Dang.
And I was like, "Listen, bro, I know you're like 40 years older than me, but I will fight you right now, dude. Don't come at me with my mom's tone." I got scared.
Remember that other day when we were recording and my dad was like, Ibrahim, how do you pronounce your name?
Yeah.
Because we all have different ways of saying the same thing because that name is very common, right? And then my dad was like, how do you pronounce his name? Then I was like, well, we kind of just say like a mix between the normal version and the Arab version because we're not trying to make Ibrahim
What was
think
the
he's
argument
in trouble.
between you?
Abu
like the
was
way y'all said
asking with the raw because in Urdu it's a little softer, so it's said a little differently. And I was like, well, Dad, in Arabic it's different. And he was like, I know Arabic, and I was like, sure, but it's a little different. And he was like, and I was like,
Who ended up being right?
there was no right. He was
Who ended
right.
up being more closer?
He was right, and I was also right.
Oh,
I
yeah,
was
no, I
right
remember
because
your
I
dad
know
saying
what
it.
you said.
Yeah.
But he was right in the sense that there are other Ibrahims that say their names like that, and it's still a valid way of thinking.
I met a guy.
Like, have you ever met double E Ibrahim?
I was literally about to say, I've met a guy who spells his name double E.
Yeah.
Braheem.
Ibrahim.
Yeah, Ibrahim.
Ibrahim.
It's weird, yeah. It kind of makes me weird feeling. But anyway, hello, welcome back. That was
Welcome back. Well,
5-minute tangent for no reason.
Actually, one of the proto names for this podcast was going to be Tangent City, so it's fitting.
It's works.
One of the things I was going to talk about, I guess we'll just jump right into the deep end. When me and Ibrahim were meeting for...
I'm just kidding.
We're not supposed to talk about that on the podcast.
We're not supposed to. It's a vine and it's stuck in my head. I'm sorry. Okay, moving on. Okay.
I thought I told you not to tell anybody.
I mean, I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Anyway,
Not the
definitely
not the anime thing again.
One of the things that I was thinking when me and Ibrahim went to coffee the other day, I was just sitting in my car looking at the sun. It was very pretty. It looked like somebody cranked the saturation on the sky.
And then it rains.
And then it rained 20 minutes later, but because Texas weather is just not...
It became gloomy and then started to hail out of nowhere.
One of the things I was telling Ibrahim was that I was thinking a bunch of deep thoughts. And the first thing me and him said when we looked at each other, save it for the podcast. So...
I started playing sad music in the car. Because, deep thoughts usually mean like something sad. And he's like, no, not type of sad. I'm like, oh, okay, save it for the podcast then. And I switched to Logic. I was like, okay, that's good enough. Next.
We went to IKEA and we did a bunch of stuff. That's its own fun story for another day. Because, man, IKEA's great, dude. IKEA's lit. But I was thinking in the car the other day, I guess you can insert race here, but for me, I'll say like Desis or Indians, Pakistanis. Whenever I see my teachers who are also like me, or whenever I see students who are also like me, right, there's this weird like impulse I have to want to talk to them, just default, because I don't see anyone like me. Well, not in my language, because 9 times out of the 10 the kids don't speak it.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
or they're not confident, so they don't want to, which I also wasn't, so I don't want to push anybody. I actually do speak Urdu with a couple kids in my classes because they're like Bakka Pakistani, which means like really Pakistani. So like we speak it, but
they're from the blood.
So like I have this impulse to want to talk to them, and it comes from like the feeling of not having anybody. Like I don't know about you, Ibrahim, because you've had like people all your life around you, but like in middle school there was only 2 or 3 other like Muslims that I knew.
I know in middle school I had a bunch of Muslims.
So we were like obligatorily friends. Whether I liked them or not, we were friends because we were all we had.
By default.
Yeah. So when I see all these people, I'm like, I feel this weird, like, I should talk to you, right? I might not see anybody like me ever again. And I was thinking about that, and I was like, in my head, it generates this, like, I wish there were more people like me, or I wish I was home, right? Where everyone's like me. But then I was thinking, if I was there and everyone looked like me, I wouldn't feel special. Like, I wouldn't have this urge. In the reverse way, like, I would hate brown people.
Okay.
Because then I would just see annoying Indian Desi people everywhere, and then I'd be like, but since I'm here in a place where there isn't people, even the slightest bit of something, I'm like, right? It's like the difference between a spoiled kid and a person who has not had as many opportunities, right?
Right.
The spoiled kid will not worry about like what's going past them, right? But the person who's like not used to it it'll feel more special. So I was sitting there, I was like, man, like people from back home, they probably don't understand what it feels like to like be alone. And then people from here, they don't understand what it feels like to hate everybody else who looks like you. Like, not everybody who looks like you is your friend. That's what we think. Like everybody who looks at you will be like, I know what you're going through, brother. I got you, right? But it's not really like that. They're also just people who can be dumb people sometimes, who can be buttheads.
Yeah.
And that was just something that I was thinking about in the car.
All Arabs who are living in America. Anyway, did I say that out loud? My bad.
I didn't hear anything. Maybe the mic didn't pick it up.
The mic didn't pick it up. But yeah, no, I get what you're talking about. It's a weird mix. I don't know, because like I see a lot more like Arab kids and like Arab people in general nowadays, and it's kind of getting to like a lot. And I think in my classes, there's usually more like Arabs now, which is weird.
Wow.
Like in my math class, there's each row has like 7 chairs. The the row behind me in my math class is 5 chairs full of Arabs.
Wow.
And they're like trash talking the teacher in Arabic, and I'm sitting in front of them. I don't think they know if I'm Arabic or not, because I don't come off looking like Arab.
Really?
No, I've asked people, they're like, you come off either looking Mexican, American, or Jewish. And I'm like, great, Arab's not up there.
I can see the Jewish stuff because of the Hasidic like roots in general.
Yeah.
But like, I knew day one when I met you, before I even knew your name, that you were Arab. Maybe it's just because I'm the trained eye.
Maybe, yeah, you have the trained eye thing. That's like, yeah, whenever we go out and I'm like, oh, that lady is Arab, you're like, Ibrahim, you're just looking at her, like classifying her and her things, and then she starts speaking Arabic on the phone, and all you guys are like, oh, wait. And I'm like, yeah, shut up, bro. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's the eyebrows, I know.
Oh, yeah, it's all in the density of that hair.
But yeah, like, they don't know I'm Arab, or like, I know how to speak Arabic, and like, I'm picking up what they're saying. And so the teacher, the first day of class, he said my name, like my full name, and they all were like, oh, he does know how to speak Arabic. Oops. And so I turned around, and some kid was like, oh, like, where are you from? I'm like, oh, my dad's Egyptian, my mom's Syrian, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh, so do you hear everything we talked about this professor? I'm like, every single part of it.
They said that?
Yeah.
Wow.
And
I don't run into aware people like that. Everybody's like in their own head.
Yeah, whenever I went to the lab study, one of the nurses there, her cousin was also doing the lab study, and they were talking in Arabic outside in the hallway. And I'm like, well, ma'am, like, if you're going to trash talk someone, don't say it in the hallway. And they were talking about, like, gossip and stuff like that. And so the nurse, she knows my sister. She kind of knows me. I don't know her too well. And he walks into my room, and I have one AirPod in and one out, just in case someone, like, from the lab study comes and talks to me. And she walks up to me, she goes, hey, you have your AirPods in, right? And I'm like, I have one in, one out. She goes, crap. And I'm like, why? She goes, so do you hear everything we talked about outside? I'm like, oh yeah, how you and the girl were gossiping about some other gossip girls at the gym, and you're just trying to work out, but since they're Arab, you have to talk to them at the gym. And how that guy really, like, his glow up was not good. And the more I talked, the more she was like, you heard all of that? I'm like, yeah, I know. Don't worry. She was like, I completely forgot. Anyone else in here speaks Arabic? I'm like, man, my name was on the door. Like, did you not remember that I can speak Arabic or something? But yeah, no, most of the time,
it feels like this.
I see a lot of like Arabs or something like that, and I can hear them. Also, the weird thing that I was thinking about while you were talking was, I don't know how many dialects you know how to speak of like anything, but like languages. But like I might not be able to speak all the dialects, but I know how to like understand all of them.
Yeah.
And it's weird when like a different dialect is speaking, and I'm like, I know that one too. It's weird. You might think you're special, but I know what you're talking about, little man. But,
the broken thing about Southeast Asia or South Asia in general is like there's so many.
Yeah.
Like there's Indians that sound like Pakis. There's Pakis that sound like Indians. They will shoot you if you say that. There are like 15 different states with different nations in them in India, and then in Pakistan there's their own. There's Bangladeshis, and then there's Arabic mixed in with all those Muslim languages, Hindi based mixed in with all the Sanskrit mixed in with the Hindi languages. There's so much. It's basically just like one conglomerated umbrella of just like brown. So I can't tell the difference. And not only can I not tell the difference, because I've grown up with such broken Urdu. Mm-hmm. My Urdu does not sound like a Pakistani. and does not sound like an Indian. So you know how when you go home, the number one thing they tell you, especially because our parents are natives, right? They say, don't act like a tourist.
Right, 100%.
Because not only will all of the bad people get you, but also you can't buy coffee full price.
Nope.
They will actually bump it up.
Yep.
Or all this other weird stuff, right?
They know just by the look, you're not from around here.
Exactly. And just from my accent, they can tell. Even though I'm not from Kashmir, well, actually no, Kashmir's not real to certain people.
Huh?
It's a whole. It's just like Palestine. It's just like
China, Taiwan,
Ukraine, Taiwan. There's so many little. So if you're from like Hyderabad, or if you're from Chennai, or if you're from Karachi, they will be able to tell. But since I don't sound like any of them, they know I'm a tourist, and they know that I'm from America, and so they will. I have no chance. I'm done. Like they will take advantage of anything they want from me because they can just tell.
Yeah, whenever I don't go to Egypt too often, but whenever I do go, my mom was always worried because while I was growing up, my mom was like the main person in the house since my dad was always like traveling for work, and so I learned Syrian, and so like I'd be able to speak like Syrian to my mom. I know Arabic like Egyptian wise.
Is Syrian the minority of the Arabic dialects?
No, Syrian's just not no.
What's the most spoken Arabic dialect?
Probably like but it's between Palestinian / Syrian. Like
really?
One of those two are always like I hear more Palestinian / Syrian like languages.
What's
nowadays.
the one in Saudi? I feel like that's the biggest one, right?
That's like hard like Saudi.
There's a difference?
Yeah, there's a big difference.
Whoa.
I told you like dialects are weird. My mom doesn't know how to speak all of them, but like she knows like if someone Palestinian is talking to her, she knows how to pick it up. Lebanese, Syrian, Egyptian. I was gonna say Moroccan, but Moroccan.
I was also gonna say Moroccan, but the joke is that Moroccans don't have.
Moroccan's the same thing as normal. I think she knows how to like pick up like Iraqi.
Iranian is just a whole nother.
Iranian's a whole other thing, but she can understand when someone's speaking Persian to her.
Really? Wow.
And she knows like, oh, he's speaking Persian. A couple words are being picked up. Don't know the rest of the sentence. But like she knows how to pick up some of the stuff, and so when I was growing up, I would just learn mainly Syrian and Egyptian, but mainly Syrian since my mom's Syrian. No, I would go to Egypt, and mom would be like, "Yeah, go get milk," for example, right? She did this to my brother multiple times when he was growing up. He would go down and ask for milk, but in Syrian, which one means milk, one means yogurt. So he'd come back with a bag of yogurt, and she'd be like, "What it is, bro?" No.
What the dog do?
What the dog doing?
What the dog do?
And he'll be like, "Isn't this what you asked for?" And she goes, "No, go back and get milk, not yogurt."
Yeah.
And so it's like I know how to pick up on different dialects a little bit, but I can't speak any of them for my life. Like I what was the one Assassin's Creed thing that you were telling me to read, and I told you this is not Arabic, this is like Persian. I just knew how to pick up like it was Persian. I was like, yeah.
There's actually another one I wanted to show. I'll show you later. I was playing Batman, and you know Ra's al Ghul?
Yeah.
On his sword in the game, there was Arabic or Urdu. I don't know. I think it is Persian also because the League of Shadows is supposed to be somewhere not Arab but Arab. So because they never really say they're Arab.
Yeah.
So
they're too scared.
I wanted to read it. I could read the Urdu, but you know that's different from the Arabic. That's different from the Persian. So I was like, I wonder what Ibrahim will read. And Google Translate couldn't do it. I don't know why. Like when I did the camera thing, I just couldn't pick it up.
Because it's not always like. What was it? Some of the movies when like we're watching as an Arab, I can watch movies and know that guy's not speaking Arabic. They'll just throw in like random words. I'm like, none of that's Arabic except for that one Habibi word.
You know, it's always Habibi.
It's always Habibi. Habibi, come. I'm like dictator. Like half of that was not Arabic, and it's all based
that's
on
really
Arabic.
funny because he was played by whatchamacallit. Isn't he Jewish?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So he like did a really convincing Arab for a Jew.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's that helicopter scene. The helicopter scene. Some of it was Arabic, but it wasn't. Some of it wasn't at the same time.
What I was gonna say is like, if somebody says, "Do you speak Arabic?" Right? Yeah. What are they assuming Arabic is? Because for you, you'll hear the dialects, right? You'll know the differences.
Are they?
But what is like the default Arabic? If I'm typing on the keyboard, what's it going to default to?
Are they Arab or are they like American?
Normal. Anything but Arab.
No. Okay. If they're not anything but Arab, they're most likely just thinking of like, I forget what it's called. Sienna told me what it's called. Sienna's taking Arabic and she told me there's something like shoot, what is it called?
It's a hybridization of.
Yeah, it's like a hybrid of all of it.
Interesting.
That's what I think. Just because when Aviv told me he was learning Arabic and Sienna told me she was learning Arabic, that's what they were taught. They were taught like Egyptian, a little bit of Syrian, but like under a umbrella, it's called like something.
Trilingual Arabic or something.
It was a really funny word that I've never ever heard of until she told me what about.
Trigonal bipyramidal.
Yes, sure.
No, that's a chemistry thing.
Yeah, I was just going along with it because I had no clue what the heck that was.
Arabic,
But it was like a really weird word, and I think that's what... I don't know if that's what people think.
Triliteral?
Maybe? I don't...
Dominant dialect.
I don't know, because I just remember her telling me it covers a couple of different countries.
There's Mesopotamian Arabic.
That's, I think, something around that. There was that one for another funny word that she used.
What Arabic dialect is most directly spoken? Modern Standard Arabic. It's just called Modern Standard Arabic.
I think it's like a mix of Syrian and like Egyptian, which sometimes...
I think I heard you say that before, actually. Yeah. I think you're right.
With like a sprinkle of Palestinian.
Even Eritrea has
what the heck
Arabic. It's a small little country in the Christian Muslim area of the world.
Sure.
I'm forgetting where exactly. Near like Sudan and kind of like
area. But I think when most Americans... what pops into my head is either that or Egyptian.
I would say Egyptian, right?
Yeah.
I would think Egyptian because that's where most of the what's the root word for Arabic stuff? I'll just say Arabic. Well, Arabic stuff originated from, right? That's that part of the world.
But if there's like an Arab asking me, they usually ask it in Arabic.
Wait, they usually ask it in Arabic. Oh, so then you know which.
So then I'm speaking Palestinian,
right?
Which is really weird. I'm like, what if I don't? Like, what if I don't speak Arabic? And I just like I'm one of those like white Arabs, like. What if I don't know how to speak Arabic? You're just saying a bunch of like random mumbo jumbo to me.
See, the difference between, like, for example, the closest thing I can tell you, because like Urdu will vary by the street. So it's like you can break it down a lot, but the biggest breakdown I think you can find is like Urdu is the predominant language in that area of the world, India, Pakistan, and then or Hindi is in India, but it's like the same thing. If you zoom in, there's like Punjabi, Gujarati, Malayalam, but that's really different. And one other one I'm forgetting. So they are... See, so you're in Arabic, you're saying that one word will mean two different things depending on the dialect, right?
And on the country, because the country also has the whole...
And the country.
Different, like, northern, southern, whatever, country, farmers... What's it? Rednecky?
Rural?
I guess. Whatever. Like, it kind of like... I know in Palestinians... I don't know about it too much in Egypt, but I know like Palestinians that have like the main Arabic, and then they have like if you're like, what's it called? What's the difference?
Inner city.
I'm trying to think of like the
country gal.
Yeah, kind of like a country or I don't know what rednecky country more.
Fringe.
I don't know what the word is, how to translate it over, but like.
What's the word in Arabic?
I forgot it. I honestly forgot what it was. I had it on top of my head and then I forgot.
Sure.
But like it also does that because in Palestine you can say kifak, which is like how are you,
right,
in any different language. But if you're from like southern or not southern, I guess like more like country, yeehaw, then it's more
territories.
The ka is now cha. So instead of kifak, it's chifak. Yeah, so it's like weird.
What?
And so that's what I'm saying. Like
I've
it kind of
never heard Chifuck, bro.
Chifuck is funny, bro.
Crazy.
If you ever hear me say respect in the middle of our hangouts, even though none of you speak Arabic, it's just like a funny thing to me because I heard someone like respect, nah, bro, respect, bro.
That's insane.
And it's just like a funny thing to me.
So like for like Urdu, all those languages, it's the words mean the same thing, but they're said kind of like that. They're said differently, dramatically. Like for example, in Urdu, I would say like it's hard without context, but I was like,
hey, arm movement.
Hey, right?
Okay.
HAI. So that would mean like have, right?
Uh-huh.
And then in Punjabi, it's pave, but it means the same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
And then in Gujarati, I forgot what it was. Gujarati is funny because it's like Urdu, except you put che after everything.
What's that English terminology where like different words can mean the same thing?
Homonym? Wait, no. Different words for the same thing.
Or is it backwards?
Different words for the same
thing. Definition? I guess. Is that a thing? Or is it backwards?
No, you're right. There's a word for this. I'm forgetting all the words today.
I remember in second grade, I learned this thing. I just don't remember what it's called.
A homonym is a word that sounds the same,
Yeah.
No, a homonym is a word that means the same. Yeah, homonyms. You're right. A homophone is something that sounds the same. Definition can be different. A homonym is something that's spelled the same.
The homophone, whatever the heck it's called, is what. No. The homophone is what Arabs have most of the time, where it's like it could sound the same, but it's a different word,
right,
different meaning. I mean, and then the other one, homonym, is what you have.
Right, something like
kind
that.
of.
And it's very interesting because that's how you tell if the language is different. You have to wait for the sentence because it'll sound the same until one of those words blips in there, and then after that, you're like, oh, yeah, you're speaking something different.
Yeah.
Like, my dad was like street haggling in Pakistan, right? And in Pakistan, everybody speaks Urdu. But when you go to like vendors and stuff, they're in their element, right? Their stall is like their home.
Yeah.
So they will speak their language. So he could tell that the guy was accidentally dropping Gujarati in the words. He was like namche, kiche, volche. So my dad is basically the same thing except che is at the end.
Yeah.
So he noticed that, and then he started speaking his own Gujarati, and I was like, I couldn't keep up with the conversation after that point. It was the ch really does make up.
Chus are weird, bro. Chus are
make everything go crazy. Chi fuck, bro. So I was like, what's going on? But then he just started speaking it, and I was just my dad, for him, Gujarati is his broken language, right? He only spoke it at home, but he never perfectly learned that Urdu was more predominant, English was more predominant because of colonial stuff. So he was like nervous that this guy was gonna notice that his Gujarati was broken and then F up his price on the stuff for the event. But because he was so sweet, the guy was like, "Thank you for like making my day being happy, like helping me out." And then he gave us a really good deal on those kurtas.
Vendors, bro, are built different.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Turkey 2016. After I went to do Ramadan and stuff like that, religious thing, and then after I went to Turkey for 2 days, right? I speak Arabic. Maybe not the best Arabic like my mom, but like I speak Arabic, right? She told me when I was in Turkey, if you're gonna go buy something, start speaking in Arabic. If they don't know how to speak Arabic, switch to English.
In Turkey, right?
Wow. So I walk up to I'm gonna ask a price for something for I don't know what it was, souvenir, and ask it in Arabic, right? And he gives me an answer in Arabic. I'm like, great, whatever.
Oh, what? Really?
He gives me an answer in Arabic. I'm like, oh, cool, whatever. So I end up buying it and leaving. We're walking through the little alley that, a bunch of like little vendors and people. And I hear one guy go, discount. Hey, come by here. Habibi, come. And he starts speaking in Spanish and in French.
Whoa.
And I'm like, I keep walking. I'm talking to my sister and I'm like, why does he know like 4 languages? She goes, oh no, majority of these guys who are like live in like Middle East, Mediterranean, Turkey, stuff like that, they'll pick up like 9 different languages just to pick you guys up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's genius, bro. Like, he literally started speaking Spanish. And I'm like, come on, stop me, amigo. Hey, let me get that discount.
I don't know if I brought it up on the podcast before, but there was one time where I was in France and I was trying to order a crepe from a vendor, right?
Of course you were.
And I was like in middle school, so my French was even more worse and I was even less confident.
Yeah.
And I was like struggling, right? Or rather, I was in line and my teacher was saying, hey, everybody, order it in French.
Oh,
right?
no.
She was trying to get everybody to practice. You're in France, why not speak French? But I was so nervous, I was like, I'm just not going to get a crepe. And my teacher was like, no, you're not, dummy dumb, order it in French. So I got pushed into it, I had to do it. And while I was trying to order it, the guy was like you, audio listeners, he was like turning his head like a dog does. And he was like, huh?
Aww.
And he literally put his hand out and he was like, I speak English. You just do it in English. And I was, my face was red. My teacher was like jaw down. I was like, dude, I have failed as a French person. Like I'm done. My career is over. And I got my crepe. It was dang good. But bro. Dude, that sucked. And in Pakistan when I went last time, bro, I messed up my Urdu so many times.
Yeah, I get so scared to speak Arabic when I go to like Egypt or something.
But it's so much fun. I swear, if you live there for like 6 months, you will like pick up stuff.
Yeah, no, because I lived there for 2 years when I was younger in Egypt, and bro, I forgot English at one point, and I'd come back to England, come back to America, and I have to take my placement test or something until I get back into like school, and I was like, the thing that stumped me was they give you put what's the word in English for this object. And so I was like, oh, giraffe, this is a zebra, and this is and an accent. And then I come to the word kite. I hate kites for the sole reason, bro. I'm telling you, it's a mental thing. I come to the word kite, and I'm like, what is this word?
Kitas.
What's this? No, I know what it is. I told my mom in Arabic because she was sitting next to me. I was young. I was a young age, and I was like, I know in Arabic. I was telling her, I know what this is. You fly in the sky. I told her what it is in Arabic. She goes, yeah, but you need to say it in English.
Oh.
And I'm like, I don't know, teacher. I don't know. And she goes, okay, that's fine. She wrote down a little note.
No.
I get sent back a grade because I don't know what kite is. And I'm like, no.
That's so sad, bro.
And
now
I'm
you just forever hate kites. And
So I hate
your
kite.
mind.
But then I ended up skipping a grade or something. I don't know how it worked. But
that's so sad.
but I'm like, I hate kites for that sole
I
reason.
feel so bad for you, bro.
And I was like, bro,
Little Ibrahim was just sitting there like,
bro.
Mama,
look, hey, and about if this goes up into the sky, and you fly it with a rope, and you fly it with rope. And she goes, and then the teacher goes, you need it in English. Mom's like, yeah, say it in English. I'm like, Mama, I don't know.
So back to the racing that I was talking about.
Yeah, they go all the way back.
All the way back. I guess the bigger point that I was alluding to is that a lot of the racial struggle in America specifically, right?
Uh-oh. Careful now.
I'm not gonna be too crazy here. It comes from the fact that we're struggling, right?
Sure. Okay.
There is something that we're fighting every day, right? Like loneliness or cultural differences and stuff like that. But if you go back home where none of that's a problem, right? We get privileged again and then we forget. So that's why this is kind of I'm not trying to be mean to anybody,
right?
But
walking on eggshells.
If you notice, if you go back home, Muslim means something different in a Muslim country.
I was honestly just thinking, about that, yeah.
Because for us in America, since we don't know anything, we're really careful about everything we do over there. Over here, you ask every restaurant, is this halal or is there pork in this thing or whatever. But back home, because
you don't have to worry about that.
You don't have to worry about that. So not only are they more carefree, when they come here, they don't have that instinct to check everything, but also they eat a lot.
They eat a lot?
I think this specifically goes for people who eat zabiha, right? But
sure.
Because I eat halal here, I can't eat a lot, right? So you could say that my diet kind of forces me to be healthy. But over there, because they don't have any problems, it's not more expensive, it's not further away, every place has it, they eat so much meat all the time. And I was sitting there with grease sweat, and I was like, guys, I can't do this. And they were like, what do you mean? And then they were like, you have go to Burger King. And I was like, no. What do you mean Burger King? And then,
dude, have you went over to the Middle East?
I've had the Burger King in Dubai,
KFC,
bro. Oh my god!
I had a KFC sandwich in Saudi when I was on Umrah, and I'm telling you, bro, take your Popeyes chicken sandwich, merge it with another one, merge it with a third one, and then merge it with a fourth one, and that's how big it is.
No religious guilt, bro. Oh.
Bro, I'm telling you, that's the first time I've never finished a sandwich.
It's so good.
It was gigantic. I asked my mom, I was like, how much did it all cost? She goes, well, I mean, if you translate it to US dollars, this was $20 max.
20.
I mean, it was for a whole family thing.
Oh, yes,
it's a family meal because we all got 9 sandwiches.
Yeah.
And it was $20, which is, if you actually did the price and you compared it to if you bought all this in America, $45, $60, something like that.
Yeah, it's insane.
I'm like, what?
It's insane.
Nani?
And what I was talking is it's a mild example, but I think it illustrates the point where
freedom.
Our awareness of our culture is kind of because we're struggling, right? So our struggle gives us an excuse. But if we didn't have something that constantly reminded us, we might not be aware at all, right? We might be fall straight into ignorance. You know what I'm talking about? Same thing with that
kind of
that kid who has too much, right? They stop asking for where their stuff comes from, or Mom, how much did this cost you, or because you're just so used to it.
Are you talking about culturally we forget or we get ignorant? Or are you talking about socially or where we are in society?
I mean more culturally. For example, right? People who say Salam alaikum, right? For me, it makes my day if just one person does it. Right? But if you're back home, everybody says it. So take 2 different alternate universe Asas, right? One who was born there, one who didn't. This guy wouldn't appreciate the weight of what it means, one salam, right? But over here, that means so much, right? And in all different areas of our culture, and cultures in general, not just Muslims, you can see that because we don't have a lot of something, every little thing really makes us really happy, right? Going to the mosque is a big deal because most people don't. It's really
Right.
hard to. It's spread out. There isn't one in your area. You don't like the speaker, but over there, there's like one on every corner. Your parents will force you to go because they're so close. You'll know everybody in your neighborhood. Like so, like you won't really remember the act. So when you, for example, there's another way to think about it. When kids from back home move here for college, right? Because that's what younger kids do nowadays back home is they move here for college.
Yeah.
They won't go to the mosque.
Yeah.
Or they won't do any of those things.
I know what you're talking about just because, like, I've had this conversation with my parents before. I've had, like, religious leaders talk about this, but religious version, though, where they say, like, overseas, you're praying all the time. It's, like, a norm to go pray. The place where I used to live in Egypt, not even, like, down the street there was a mosque. And so, you know, like, the adhan goes off and all that stuff. The
adhan is played on speakers, on the streets.
In Egypt.
You can't escape it.
Yeah, where I was located in Egypt, there was a mosque down the street. Like, I used to walk to it to go pray. And then, but, like, if you're standing, opening up the balcony door, you'll hear the one down the street. 2 minutes later, you'll hear the one across town playing at the same exact time as all the other ones. And you can hear 6 different, like, adhans going on.
Right.
And so, and even, like, on Fridays, they would close shops until, like, 6 p.m. And then they'll open up the shop.
Right.
And, like, that's the whole thing, because like you said, it's living over there. You're more accustomed to it. It's a lifestyle. Everyone has the same religion.
It's
mainly.
automatic.
It's automatic. You don't have to worry about it too much.
Over here, it's more intentional.
There's no
in a bad way
haram
too.
things. Yeah, there's not as many like haram things. You have to worry about pork, gelatin, all that mumbo jumbo.
Mm-hmm.
You come here, it's a whole other culture. It's a whole other religion, if there is religion too much. And then there's a whole other society. And so that's why everyone, like all of the leaders and like not old, like the old style parents are always like, yeah, we have to, like, you know, I'll make you join Sunday school. Like they push kids more just because they know if they grow up, they'll end up being e-boys who like play like Valorant all day and like live in their life.
You'll go from like Raj or like what's a really Arab name? Muhammad to Mo and Richard Ray.
Yeah,
right.
And it's like, yeah, you'll lose a lot of a lot of like old style parents and like older people. They're always like, moving to America is a good move financially, economically, you know, for the future.
Mostly financially.
Yeah,
you're like, is that the trend you see? It was mostly economic.
It's a good move here, but culturally and religiously, it's worse just because there's not that constant reminder to like, hey, I gotta go pray. Hey, I speak Arabic all the time. So everyone here is speaking English, except for the 50 kids once a semester that go learn Arabic because they're bored and need another language to learn in college.
And I guess the thing that made me really in deep in thought, I was taken aback, was I was like, you know, despite the struggle and despite like I wouldn't say struggle, but like the daily annoyances of having to deal with all this stuff, I'm glad. It's the only time I'll thank America. I'm thankful for being born here because I feel like I have a more raw perspective of the religion and of the culture because I have to literally like teach myself how to do everything.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying. Without the struggle, I would be privileged, and then I wouldn't know how special it feels to get one salam, right?
Yeah.
Or to meet one person on the street and be like, "You're me," right? Sure, that comes with its own negatives, whatever. But I was just appreciative of that fact, and that's what I was thinking about.
And on the other side of the spectrum, if you were not born here, you would have grown up first grade speaking, in my case, Arabic. Like learning Arabic in school in Arabic. I was in Egypt. I was learning English.
Yeah,
and French because for some reason every French
conqueror
was conquering the Middle East. But like it was the complete opposite. You're gonna grow up speaking the language, doing the religion. I remember once while I was living in Egypt way back, I met a Christian. I was like, "You tell me that's a Christian? What's with that cross?"
Oh yeah, it's like
it's so opposite. Weird.
You're like, why are you here?
Yeah, I was like, you're not supposed to be here. And they spoke perfect Arabic. They're like, yeah, no, we're from the north side of
That's
Egypt.
Insane. Yeah, when you hear a Christian speak Arabic, you're like, hold on, huh?
Yeah, I was so confused. That's why when I come here, there's a word for it. I don't even know the word for it. I completely forgot the word for it. But like, there's a word for Egyptians that don't speak that speak Arabic, but they're Christian. And when I learned about that, I was like, damn, bro, we really do we don't live this life normally. Like, this is weird.
You know, there's an acronym for Desi. It's the most freaking Desi thing. it's also a way your parents demean you with the uncles and aunties. But like our generation, right? We're called the ABCDs. We're called the American Born Confused Daisies. So
That's hilarious.
every time your Hindi or Urdu is bad, every time you're like, Mom, what's this food? Or like, you know, why do I have to go to puja, or why do I have to go to mosque, right? Your parents will be like, alright, confused ABCD, what you doing? Right? And that's how you know, you're reminded, you're like, yeah, I'm halfway there.
Yeah,
I'm not compared to you, I'm not there all the way. But no, language is really, really crazy. I want to talk about it on its own episode, but like,
we have a episode that we talked about called like tradition and religion and all that stuff.
Oh,
we
yeah, we
didn't
haven't
even
done
that
that
was one of
yet.
the first things we wrote over a year ago.
It's a delicate thing. Even this was a delicate thing to talk about. So that's why it's like, you know, we have to be very intentional.
Yeah.
But with language in particular, right? Like my aunts came over for spring break. My idea of my dad and my family in my head was that they are like the example of the raw form of my culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they are the most it can be.
Yeah.
But then when I was talking to my aunts, they were like, no, in school we actually didn't learn Urdu. We learned grammar, but they taught us English because Pakistan was really focused on learning English. So they were like, my Urdu is bad right now because I didn't actually learn it. I just spoke. It was like through habit that I learned it. It wasn't like formal. So they're telling me like, oh, I can't read the signs anymore. Or I can't read the newspaper anymore. We talked about this in an episode before.
Yeah.
I can't read the newspaper anymore.
I can't read banners in Egypt, bro.
I was like, I thought I was like stuck with my Urdu, bro, but y'all are also having problems too.
Yeah.
And now I'm sitting here looking at my hands and I'm like, well, I think I also did talk about this before, but like language death, like it's a real thing, right? Alhamdulillah, like you, most of our friends, we have like a general concept of our knowledge of our languages, but we are still missing things.
I'm missing a lot of stuff, honestly.
And yeah, I mean, like, I feel like I'm missing a ton. Like, I don't even really feel like I'm doing good.
My mom says
I'm
things
fluent,
sometimes, and I'm like, did you cuss me out or did you teach me something? What did you say?
Yeah,
and then she'll like translate it in English, and I'm like, that's really what it means? That's like simple. That's like 4th grade level. Like, I understood that.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I learned a lot. I learned a lot from curses from my mom. But anyway.
The other day, bro, she was talking. She said a funny, like, it was an appliance in Arabic. I don't remember what the word was, but she translate it. She goes like, yeah, we're going to go buy like an air purifier. I'm like,
wow.
What? I was like, what's the word?
Air purifier.
When I learned the word swan in Arabic, it sounded like the most disgusting, like, blech. It's called baji.
Ooh.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That sounds like
Yeah,
tremendous and like
heft.
heavy and like.
Yeah.
But then
Ooh.
I was like, "What the hell is that?" She goes, "Swan." I'm like, "You're telling me?" First of all, I never once heard this. She goes, "You learned it in Egypt. They teach you your animals." I'm like, first of all, I don't even remember that. I just remember getting beat all the time because they're allowed to do that overseas. But second of all,
Baji.
why does it sound so like heavy? She goes, I don't know. And overseas, it's beautiful, but here it sounds like someone kissed you and made you. I don't know.
That's really interesting. Actually, I have a question. I'll come back to it in a second. But what was I saying?
I don't know.
Oh yes.
Language.
So I was like, I really not only as like a skill I want to have it, but also like I don't want to teach my kids badly because a lot of my stuff is like oriented for the future. So I'm thinking like I don't want to give my kids those same holes. So what do I do? So now I'm like genuinely considering, like me and my cousins are gonna. My cousin already is, but I'm thinking about also doing Urdu classes, like just like, while I can, at least getting it down enough so that I can use it in the future when I'll need it, but then also so that like I can speak it at home. The main goal is speak it at home. The beautiful thing about our parents, right? Certain parents, mine didn't, but other parents did, is they decided to speak the language at home because they'll learn English in school. They'll figure it out. But the other one, they need to know it. So like my cousin, she grew up speaking Urdu. She didn't know English. Yeah. But she learned it in school. So immediately she was bilingual because she understood and could speak Urdu, but she also was learning and processing English the same normal way a baby does. Yeah. So she didn't have an accent. She didn't sound like a fob. She could speak Urdu and then not sound like she just got off the boat, right? Yeah. Or she could speak English and then not sound like she was like a whitewashed Urdu person. Yeah. So I didn't have that, and I'm not complaining, but I do want to give that to my kids. So now I'm like, see if I gotta do Urdu lessons. Where do you even go for this kind of stuff?
Let's say, see if like whatever university you end up at, give like any of those lessons. or any of those classes, just because.
That would be a good extra credit. Like
'Cause I know,
senior
like,
year,
Maybe I don't know what it is, but like,
when you're running out of credits, you can just take one.
yeah, I think like I know they give like they give like French, Arabic, Spanish, Chinese of some sort. I know at the college we go to right now they do like Japanese as well.
Yeah,
I don't know if they do anything else, but like I know there's some of those classes. I'd be down to learn Japanese just for the heck of it.
I would be so down to learn. I want to learn more languages, to be honest.
I learned it from anime now.
Well, that's the thing. You can learn. That's what a lot of weebos do.
Yeah, no, my cousin he's learning Japanese from like Duolingo.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not a bad idea. But it's weird. I was actually thinking about that a little while ago because whenever people, this is gonna sound stupid to anyone who doesn't understand it, but
So everybody.
I mean, no, Muslims will understand this, but anyone who's not Muslim won't understand it. Whenever marriage comes into play, guys are allowed to marry a woman from any culture, any religion. Females are not allowed to marry a husband from any other culture besides Muslim.
Yeah, it's best if they marry a Muslim.
Yeah. And so my mom always talks about like, you're allowed to marry anyone. You're allowed to marry a white girl if you want, bro. Pop off. But
get it, queen.
Your future and your kids. And then like, because what happens, same thing that happened with me and my mom and my dad. My dad goes to work internationally, here, domestically, down the street from us, whatever. You're spending your day with your mom. So you're picking up from your mom. So if I marry a white girl that doesn't speak Arabic,
your kids will not.
They're not going to learn Arabic unless like somehow I teach them or I throw them in Sunday school or something.
Absolutely. No, see, that's the thing. Because our culture is oriented like that.
Yeah.
Not only, I mean, personally, that rule makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But also, it is like, that's a thing you have to look out for, right? Like most people, when they're looking for a marriage, not even arranged, it's normal. Yeah. They're thinking, oh, I want a guy this tall.
I want a dad bod.
But like, especially for cultures from our homes, right? You're thinking of your spouse as a package for how your kids will be.
Yeah, you got to start thinking about like kids.
Because your parents aren't worried really about your spouse. They're worried about what your spouse will do for your kids. Yeah. Because the ultimate goal of Islam is to have kids have more Muslims. Yeah. Right? So if you can't
be a good mother.
If you can't basically do that, then you're kind of screwed. And also it'll, one way of looking at it, it's the same thing as language, that this is diluting the pool. Yeah. Right? Exactly. As more and more people spread out and culture will mix, the more and more the original one will go away. Yeah. So if you're not maintaining the original one, it'll slowly die out until eventually there's nothing. Yeah. And we're not going to see that in our lifetime, but it will happen. Yeah. And that's our parents, I guess. I don't think they're doing it on purpose, but implicitly they have that instinct to like keep it going, keep the flag flying, right? Yeah. Same thing. My mom was like, you can marry a white girl, doesn't matter, but she has to be Muslim. Yeah. She has to be Muslim and she has to be Shia. And I'm like, okay.
The other day when Thomas was telling me about like when we were at the mochi donut place and all y'all were talking about like, oh, you're gonna go talk to that Asian girl, blah blah blah. In my head I was like,
oh, I was thinking the same thing.
How do I explain to these kids that A, she's not worth it, like she looks cool, I'm not gonna be friends with her, but like B, say this like I date her, right? How am I supposed to tell you guys that I can't? How am I supposed to tell a girlfriend that I can't marry you?
I will not marry you.
And I cannot go further with this relationship, even though we're dating for 4 years, because I need to marry a Muslim girl who can speak Arabic. Do you want to convert?
You go cough, convert. No, that's why when we did that, I said just for fun. It's not going to go to full term.
Exactly. I'm like,
just to mess around.
There's like no point to try as like a teenager
or
anything.
Bro, you need to get out there. You need to have some fun.
No, bro. I told you. I'm going to tell you exactly what I told Amar, and Amar agreed with me right now. Okay? Me and Amar came to a conclusion that any Arab girl in our age, between the ages of 18 to 21, that's Arab, right now is not the time to go after them. For the sole reason that they are out there, they are being wild as hell, and they are just living their life to the fullest.
That's true.
They eventually will figure out that life gets them nowhere, and that white boy that they're dating named Chris, who's like a jock, will end up leaving them because he doesn't believe in anything they believe, and they'll end up probably breaking their hearts. And it'll come back to all Arabs because they have to, because their parents said you have to marry a Muslim.
They'll come back eventually.
And so if you just sit here and ride out the next like 3 years, you'll eventually find a woman who either did not do all of that and she's still sane, or you'll find an insane woman that you can fix who's willing to come back to an Arab.
I think you're right, and I'm not trying to sound PC. I think fundamentally, right now, because of our culture and everything, if you didn't start dating in high school, if you didn't already become a harami, you are like in this stage now where you want to go do stuff and try stuff. Yeah. So like, it makes sense that like you're not it's not going to be the best
They
right
have
now.
the ability at these ages.
Right. And after that is when you'll come back down to the practical realization.
I need
you
to get
have do this,
married,
that.
whatever.
So then that'll be the time to do all that stuff. But right now, so then I guess.
And right now I'm just vibing. Me and Omar were like, we don't
sense.
care. That's it. Like we don't
but
care.
But then why not just do something not to get married? Just for fun.
Because that's the point.
Have a girlfriend, date for a little while.
Eventually they're gonna break your heart and leave.
Don't. Well, first of all, you don't have a heart. But second of all,
so now you're just breaking my chest. Break my ribs.
just don't.
I ain't trying to give another rib to a woman, bro. Adam did that for me. Hey,
no.
That's how we end the podcast.
Just don't get. I mean,
attached.
I don't know.
Don't get attached.
I'm not gonna say don't get attached.
Don't get attached.
I would get attached.
Exactly.
But I would say don't. Like, if you know, like, this is what me and Brianna talked about initially because of college, right? But if you know that the end is in sight, then you have to plan around it. Unless y'all are just, in it for one thing and one thing only. Then after that, then you have nothing else. But if you know that the end is there and you know that you have this amount of time, then you just kind of just have fun while you have the time.
If you had the ability to know when you're going to die, would you do it? Would you, if someone
Would I die?
No, would you I phrased that horribly.
If you had the chance to change your fate, would you have the chance to change your fate?
Yes, exactly.
Would you?
If someone told you, like, hey, I can tell you, and Death Note, I'll tell you what's going on right now. I can tell you when you're gonna die.
Yuck.
Right, like the date and how. Mm-hmm. Would you be like, yeah, I want to know like how I die and all that stuff? Okay, then why would I date someone if I know they're gonna end?
No. That's 100% a very clear point. Me and Prana said the same thing. We were like, if we know that college is going to be a problem, why are we dating now? And I was like, that's a very Brown thing of you to say. And also, you're right.
Yeah, you're completely right. She's not wrong at all.
So then that's why me and Prana were like, we should try. Like, we should not just give up just because of random. Like, if we actually care about each other, let's not waste.
And at least you two are Muslim, right? Like, so you could,
bro.
You might be Shia, she might be Sunni. I don't know if you'll have issues with that or whatever. But
there was a hot second where I was like, I'll convert. I'll get somebody. I'll And then I dated Brianna, and I was like, I can only date brown girls.
Yeah,
I would not be able to do this.
At least like you two being brown and like on the same footing is fine. If I go for a girl who's not brown of any sort, of like Arab, I say brown as if like Arabs are brown. I don't know what they're labeled as.
It's all in there.
It's all brown.
Know. Some Arabs will say not brown. Some Desis will say we're not brown.
I don't know. Whatever. If I go for a girl that's not brown, sooner or later it's gonna end. At least for you two, there's a high possibility, not a high. There's a good possibility that it won't end.
Well, that's where the question of conversion comes from, because
I ain't gonna convert.
And that's the thing. It's a very difficult conversation.
Also, like, I've been really bad.
If your girlfriend, right, is not atheist,
mm-hmm.
she doesn't choose it. She's just open, like she's a blank canvas. Then it's her choice,
right? And
if she's down for it, then that means that you can have one of these relationships. You don't know where it's gonna happen, but if she's open to converting, then why not?
Sorry, I have been to 2 weddings, or like of 2 weddings, where the girl got the guy to convert.
What? I've never seen that. It's always the other way around.
You want to know who one of them?
You
know one of them.
Pressure people.
Or not one of them. You know the family of one of them. And like the other one is a full-on like white family. Like I knew her since she grew up and everything. She convinced the guy to convert, and his name was like Todd or something.
That's usually okay, I would say for hardcore Muslim families, usually the girl is
the one converting,
pressured to convert.
Yeah.
And in Desi families, they will whoever will convert just to say they're Muslim. But if they're not really that Muslim, it's just to say you're Muslim, and then it's fine. Yeah. So it's either one boy or girl. But if you're like an actual hardcore Muslim, I've never seen the guy convert. That's actually really cool. That's nice. I like that.
Which is like, it was weird to me at first, but then I realized, I mean, I guess, you know how I said earlier, girls aren't allowed to marry guys that are out of their religion.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good like way around it.
Yeah, I mean,
you date as like a non-Muslim, and then eventually you just convert the guy into a Muslim.
Just find out
which
how
technically works.
Convert them.
Yeah, if they're willing to, technically.
But the thing is, like, and that's what I talked about with Brianna a long time ago, because this was a heavy topic in my mind, coming from the mindset of, I'll convert someone, and then I met someone who I didn't need to. I was like, as a person, right, I know I wouldn't change myself because I love my religion way too much.
Yeah.
And if somebody also really loved their ideology and their way of thought, I would feel like the worst person.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, you say, I'll convert them, but you know how hard it is to convert someone?
I don't think it's hard to convert people per se.
I think it's very
because
hard.
if you want to believe in something, you can believe in anything. Bro.
That's like asking Thomas to convert.
I think it's more of a moral problem for me, because I would feel, even if I didn't ask you, right? But if you looking at me wanted to convert, I would think I influenced your decision. And that is a neutral statement, but for me, I would feel bad. Like I'd feel like I was brainwashing.
Was it their choice though? If it's their choice,
it will
it's
be their choice. At the end of the day, because I would never say you need to do this, right?
Yeah.
But culturally, they would know you need to do this, which might also be a pressure.
If, for example, if Thomas, who's like a
I think about that all the time.
I think he's like Catholic or something. I don't know what he is. I think Catholic.
He's Protestant.
Protestant? I don't know. Same thing.
Baptist? Oh shoot, Thomas, I'm so
Shoot,
sorry.
I don't
Bro.
know.
We messed up your diabetes thing the other time, bro, and now we're messing up. I think he's Protestant. I'm pretty sure.
I'm not gonna say anything because I don't know. Thomas is Christian.
Yes.
Say he comes up to us one day and goes, "Guys, I'm thinking about converting."
I would feel awful.
I would not. I'd be like, "Okay,
why not?"
For the sole reason that I'd be like, "Are you doing this because you want to?" If he says yes, or he says, I think so, I kind of want to be part of the squad, I'd be like, don't do it.
Exactly. Remember?
If he says, I want to because I thought about it, and like, I actually kind of like the way you guys are praying and all that stuff, completely different, I'd be like, go for it. That's all
I think because he's a friend, I would actually be okay with that. That wouldn't hit me as much.
Yeah, but if I'm marrying someone, I would not force
I know that part of it is part of the decision, because I asked him before, I was like, why are you taking Arabic? And we were talking about it, and I was like, if you weren't friends with a bunch of people who spoke Arabic or brown people, would you have taken it? He said, no, probably not.
You said probably not, no.
Right? So it's because of us, implicitly or explicitly, and I have no problem with that. But that means that, in a way, like, we are biasing him.
But that's a weird argument for the sole reason of, say we don't know Thomas, right? Thomas somehow picks up a book and starts reading about Islam. And then he goes, I want to convert. Are you blaming the author who wrote that book for their bias?
Yes, but it's not a bad thing. That's what the book is for.
Sure.
It's to read and to learn. So
it
will be because of the book.
We're not exactly...
But it's not a bad thing.
It's not exactly bias, but more of, this is how I live my style. Bias, I feel like you're trying to kind of brainwashing, on the borderline brainwashing.
That's what I'm very concerned about.
But we're technically not brainwashing a person who wants to marry us.
If you hang out with someone long enough, and you like each other enough, your values will meld closer and closer together, friends or significant others. Then that's to the point where that might be the case, where you just straight up.
Then convert. It's technically not like brainwashing. It's technically just like, I've seen how you guys do things, and it's just I like it. I'm down for it.
But think about this from the perspective.
Brainwashing is I'm forcing.
Think about it from Thomas's parents' perspective, right? We derailed his life because he just randomly chose to hang out with a different group of people, and now he thinks the way they do, acts the way they do, talks the way they do. Yeah. Right? Or not take Thomas, anybody, your girlfriend, right? Or your future wife, or my girlfriend, right? I would have derailed their life because of my influence on her. But I guess that is how everyone's life is. You're an influence on everyone around you.
I was also going to ask if brainwashing is labeled as like forced in a sense.
It can be both ways. It's either forced, implicit.
I didn't know how to Google it. I'm like, is like the
can I brainwash someone?
Literally, one of the questions as I was writing is brainwashing illegal?
See, there's a difference between brainwashing and then just
like
being yourself, and then someone coming to a decision, but they're really close. They're like almost there.
No, I say there's a kind of a line. There's like a good line that shows the difference.
What's the line?
No, like I'm saying, like there's a difference between the two,
right?
Just because like you being there, brainwashing is like, I don't know how to explain what I'm trying to think of.
Is it like brainwashing? You're going with the intent of trying to change someone's
there's
mind?
An intent behind it. That's why I was trying to figure out like forced or whatever. Like, there's an intent to like pray 5 times a day, buddy. Do this. Say Habibi more often. You know,
sprinkle Habibi every now and then.
Do Zamzam and pray. You know,
drink Zamzam every morning.
5 times a day. Very good. Zamzam washes your face. Very good. You have no acne at the end of the day. Versus, I'm just living my life. I'm gonna take 5 minutes. I'm gonna go do something religious. I'll come back. I fast a whole month. That's just me living my life and him picking up things on it.
So then,
Thomas, I'm expecting you to convert after this whole argument.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. We'll see you at the masjid.
I got a really good dude. He knows how to speak Arabic and English. He'll convert you.
You can get a cool ring.
It's actually kind of interesting how whenever you convert, I don't know if you guys have it at the mosque or not, but like at our mosque, whenever someone converts, they'll do the Arabic because you have to do the Arabic version, and then they'll do the English version, and then be like, okay, we're done. Very good, takbir. Hugs, go.
We don't get a lot of converts because of how small it is.
There was one today, and I was like, oh.
There was one today.
I had one today.
I haven't had one in like 5 years.
And the week before that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think the reason they do that is because not everybody knows Arabic. So you have to do your niyat, your intention. You have to know what you're saying, what you're doing.
But so on the same point, that's why whenever they're doing the big the converting on the mic, they'll be like,
huh? It's an M word, right?
What?
The word for the ritual.
The converting?
Yes. No, that specific act that you're talking about.
Oh, I have no clue. I just know they're converting.
Anyway,
they ask, is anyone they literally ask, is anyone forcing you to do this? Or are you
Really?
doing it out of your goodwill?
Wow.
Or out of your own will?
In Arabic?
In English,
In
obviously.
English.
Asking, yeah.
Wow.
And he'll be
No,
like,
I thought
no,
it was like part of the surah or something.
No. Right before they do any of it, they're like, are you doing this for like, is someone forcing you, or are you doing this like out of your own?
That's crazy.
And they'll be like, oh no, out of my own thing.
Shahada.
That's not an M.
Yeah, you're right. It's not an M.
That's not an M. I was so confused.
That's what I was thinking, because that's where you get the ring. That's where you get the cool ring.
Oh, we don't have a ring, but sure.
Huh? Everybody has a ring. You guys are the ones that invented the ring.
I've never heard of a ring thing.
It's not given by the mosque, bro. They're not gonna get. The mosque is not gonna pay for anything.
If we got rings for being Islam, bro, send me one. I want one.
That's what I'm saying. No, only converts get it. We don't get it.
I've never.
We're born. We don't get it. Yeah, it's called a shahada ring. If you look on Nominal, you can get one.
I might go get one.
Well, you know when we were all the ring conversation came up and I looked for Islamic rings, the only ones that came up besides Nominal were shahada rings because it's the most popular form of ring.
What is this?
It's just a band with the dua on it or the shahada dua.
Yeah, and inside is in English.
Yeah,
that's looking fire, bro. I might get one.
Well, no, you can't. You can't.
Shen for 5. You can't tell me no.
You can't. You're a Muslim. You're not a convert. They know.
Yeah, but shahada. You say shahada every single day, every single time you pray.
Yes.
Same thing, always in the middle of prayer.
Yes, but the niyat.
Shahada is just shahada.
The intention for this one is specifically that you're a convert.
Hey, bro.
So when you wear that ring, bro,
can't argue with me.
It is a fire ring, though.
It's a fire ring, bro.
I know, it looks really nice.
$20.
Except if you don't know Arabic, it looks nice. But if you know Arabic, then the dua
it's the English is on inside.
You want a cooler dua than that, you know? Like one of the cools. My necklace.
What's it called? But yeah, no, they ask you, and then after they ask you, like, after, you know, you just shahad and everything, they'll be like, oh, tell us why you joined.
Really?
They'll be like, yeah, just give us a story, like, what brought you here, or like, what brought you to Islam, and they'll be like, you know, I heard one guy who was like, I wanted to go on a very dark path. Then I ran into where's brother Mike.
Wait, publicly? They do this in front of people?
Some people don't want to do it publicly, and then if they go to the office and be like, I want to convert, they'll talk to them. They'll probably convert them there, and then they'll ask, like, do you want to do this publicly as well? Because they have like I guess like my mosque has like on YouTube. Sometimes every now and then they'll put up like convert things. Mm-hmm. And so, like, all the shahadas, like, in the past month or something.
You imagine on Twitter, they're like, hey, we got another one.
Welcome, Brother Mike, to the community.
Anybody who wants to join, fill out this tiny URL.
Yeah. And, like, they'll ask, do you want to do this publicly? They'll be like, no, I don't really care to. Or some people are like, yeah, I don't mind.
Wow.
And, like, a couple weeks ago, some guy was like, yeah, you know, honestly, he took the mic from the sheikh and started talking. He's like, honestly, I was on a very dark path. I just got out of jail a couple months ago. And then I found Brother Mike down there, and he was talking to me, and he was talking about Islam. And he would go down about, like, how his whole life's changed and everything. And it's not always that serious. But, like, they give a little story behind there. And after you hear the story, you're like, that's honestly free will. Like, the guy didn't exactly brainwash him or, like, force him or anything to do it. But since, like, he kind of saw him living his life, and he explained to, oh, yeah, we pray 5 times a day. This is why. Here's how. Then he picked it up and went with it.
That's crazy, man. Isn't that weird that you and I are both like pretty up there Muslims, but I've never seen an actual conversion take place?
It's a little weird.
Yeah,
it's weird, but what was interesting is right after that we pray, they'll do it, and like everyone who's like, usually you finish praying, you get up and leave, but as soon as like the imam or the sheikh goes, yeah, we're gonna have a convert today, we're gonna have a shahada right now. Everyone, literally minus like 20 people, will sit there and stay and watch the shahada, and they'll just like sit there and do it, and like just not do it, but like they'll sit there and like, you know, be an audience, like do it. And as soon as everyone's done, everyone will get up and go hug the guy. They literally say, you know, congratulations on shahada, blah blah blah. I will warn you though, our community is very they love hugs, so prepare for a sea of hugs. Aww. And they'll say like, all right, assalamu alaikum, like they'll end the thing, and then 90 Arab dudes or 90 packing, like everyone just gets up and starts hugging him. I literally sat there once after Salah and I was like, I'm gonna see how long it takes for this guy to leave. It took him like 20 minutes to get up and leave from all the guys going and hugging
crazy,
him.
Bro. Getting all that clout for converting.
But the biggest thing that I loved about like the converting thing was, he says this, the same sheikh says this every single time after you convert. He goes, you right now are the single best person in this whole room. And I'm saying, the first time I heard this, I was like, how, bro? I've been praying. That guy's like a sheikh, bro. He's hafiz, so and he knows everything. And he goes, for the sole reason that your whole past life has just been washed, and your sins have been washed away, and you're starting a new life like you were just born today. And I was like, that is hard, bro. He has nothing on his plate right now.
That's so cute.
And I'm like, that's hard, bro. That's hard. He's new, bro.
Yeah.
He's in his 45 years old, but he has like no sins now.
Well, actually,
it's a very religious topic.
There's a weird thing that certain people do where they'll actually leave Islam and reconvert. They're called reverts.
Yeah, I know what that is.
But
I've heard that's haram.
Certain people, not inherently, but
I've heard a lot of people say that's haram.
There are people who do the haram thing, which is they will just do that so that they get the sin cleanse, this reset.
No, yeah, the reset.
This hard reset, and then they'll be like, "Oh, I'm back. Hey yo."
I heard no matter what is haram. You're not allowed to leave as soon.
I don't know too much about it. I want to ask though.
You're not allowed to come back when you leave. That's what I heard.
That doesn't really sound very Islam though.
I mean, you're leaving. Inclusive. You're leaving and saying, "I no longer believe in God and its religion." Mm-hmm. Why would you be allowed back?
But also, in every scenario, anytime you make a mistake, Allah will forgive you 100%.
Sure, but it's also
so that means that you should be able to come back.
But when you convert out of Islam, for example, and you go choose like Christianity, then you believe like God, His Son, and the Holy Spirit, whatever the heck they say. Then you believe there's multiple gods in a sense, or like there's multiple connections to God, and then everyone's like, well, in our religion in Islam, you don't think there's one God.
But
then you're starting to go down the shirk and the whole thing. And
but that's the same as a convert, except
he's wiping and he's starting a whole new.
I think there's a little bit of a gray area there, and we definitely need to research that because that sounds interesting. I want to know.
But all I heard from my mom and like different sheikh and stuff like that saying like once you leave, technically you're not to come back in. I have no clue. I ain't planning on leaving, so I don't have to look into it too much.
Yeah, well, me neither. But I think on the other way around, like, what do you think? How would you feel if you were in a relationship with somebody, right? You're very firm in your beliefs, and then they're like, "Hey, we're like madly in love, but I kind of
and she's not Muslim or whatever.
I can't marry you unless you convert to X thing because I'm the one who wants you to convert." Right.
Be like, well, that was a good 4 years. I'll see you on your wedding day.
See, but that's like two magnets that are at the same end of the pole, right? You can't push them together.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. It's a hard little thing. That's why like I don't care enough to get into a relationship right now at this age, just because. Say I fall in love with someone and the chance that it's a Arab that I might end up marrying could be there, but I ain't gonna play with a white girl. Or an Asian, or a Mexican, or any of the other ones, just so no one gets mad at me. I mean, list all the ethnicities. Australians are hot, but like I can't. And then,
Polynesians are pretty cool.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, I've always just been really torn about that moral dilemma for like a long time, because it's like I don't know. I don't think I wouldn't change for anybody. Yeah. Right. I also would find it hard if someone changed for me. So I'm always just like. I guess I am stuck. I just have to marry someone who's Muslim. I got lucky in that sense.
I have to know. My mindset hasn't really been like worried about too much of like me converting. It's more of I know sooner or later I'll end up marrying an Arab girl or like Muslim girl. It's just how do I find said Muslim girl? That's it. I've never once worried about like converting a girl or me converting out because I know I probably won't do that. But like converting someone else over, that's a hard thing in my book to do. Like labeled in my head, I'm like, that's a hard thing for me to do. I am not religious enough or a good Muslim enough for me to convert a girl. But at the same point, like I don't think I will end up there. And so now it's just like finding a female that's Muslim and worrying about the future just because my religious side and like Arabic side ain't strong at all, not too much. And I don't know about this other chick who's gonna marry me. Hi, how are you? My name's Ibrahim. Marry me. And then then the whole future thing with kids, the thing pops up again in my head.
When you get older, are you gonna speak the language at home?
I speak English right now at home.
No, not English. Arabic.
I speak Arabic at home.
No. To your kids.
Oh, to my kids, probably yeah.
Or like with your wife.
Well, they have to learn them. Yeah, they have to learn it somehow. So obviously, because that's how my parents used to do. Like we were learning English in school in America. We go home and we speak Arabic because that's the root of our existence, and that's what we speak at home. So it's kind of like a default. When I go over to people's houses that are also Arabic, they speak Arabic at home because that's how they were growing up. Technically, when I asked my mom this, when I was doing like FAFSA or something, or college applications, they were like, what is your first language? I asked my mom, I was like, is Arabic my first language or English? She goes, technically Arabic's your first language. And I'm like, okay, dope. So since it's your first language, they're going to learn Arabic first and then English along the line.
Do you think you know enough good Arabic to give them a solid foundation?
Hell nah.
Yeah.
Because I go to Egypt and I speak Arabic and I speak Syrian and Egyptian in one sentence and it sounds really scuffed. My dad I only speak Syrian to him, but okay. My dad only speaks Egyptian. Technically, he understands everything. He can speak Syrian if he needs to, but me at home trying to talk to him in Arabic sounds so scuffed because I'm talking Syrian, Egyptian at the same time, and then sometimes like English because I don't know what the word is in Arabic, and I'm like, well, I need الشغل اللي بتروح مع the refrigerator, the thing. And so he'd be like, you just went Syrian, Egyptian, and English all in the same sentence, buddy.
You know, the weird thing about Urdu and Hindi is that because of the colonialization of Britain into both of our countries, the country, English is part of the language. So there are certain words that you just say in English.
Yeah.
Like, there might be the words that existed in Urdu or Hindi, but the thing is, they're not used commonly.
Yeah.
So, like, people in the street, they would just say, like, you know, मुझे वहाँ जाना है मेरे friend के साथ. Friend is there's a word for it, but that's just an example. Like, they just throw in an English word there.
Yeah.
But the funny thing, because of the language, I don't know how if this works in any other languages, but when you say English words when you are speaking Urdu, you have to say it with an accent.
So I think that's a default for a majority of like Arabs, just because that's how they speak. But they always have an accent on.
But if you are like us, where you have English as your main language, it's non-accented, you have to intentionally do the accent. So, like, for all my other non-Desi folks out there, the Indian accents that you do, like, to make fun and stuff, that's the accent that you have to make. You have to actually do.
That's what you make. Yeah.
For example, I'd be like, let me think. I'll be like, so this is what I'm gonna say. I'm saying, hey mom, I want to go out with my friends.
Right.
So it's like, hey ma, मुझे बाहर जाना friends के साथ.
You gotta do it with the accent.
I can't say मुझे बाहर जाना friends के साथ because it would sound so broken.
I've heard your mom speak like that before. Like, she'll be speaking to you in like Urdu or whatever, and then she'll say one English word, but like with an accent.
Right. And if you don't say the accent, you are sounding wrong. Because that is the language.
Yeah.
So it's like the opposite effect. When you're in English, you're supposed to not have an accent. Like, minimization of accent is perfect because you're supposed to speak the raw English. But over there, you sound more correct if you have the more accented language. So, like, if I wanted to say, like, I want to go to the library, like, I'd be like, Ma, I want to go to the library.
Right.
Right? That would be correct. So then I would say, Ma, mujhe library pe jana hai. Right? That's correct. But I wouldn't say, Ma, mujhe library pe jana hai. Yeah. That just makes you sound whitewashed.
Yeah,
it makes you sound incorrect. So it's really weird because my dad is like, your accent's wrong. And I'm like, I don't know how to fix this,
I don't know how to speak English anymore. I don't know how to
speak
English anymore.
I third grade, I practiced reading. I got 100 on my comprehension. I don't know how to do this.
Yeah, no. Whenever I speak to my parents, like, I don't know, like, the word. Or, like, in the middle of a sentence, I'll be like, Arabic, English, full on, like, normal, no accent like you're talking about, and I'll just continue talking. And it's not weird to, like, any of us for some reason. But whenever I'm speaking English and I throw an Arabic word in there, then my accent comes out like, Mama, I want to go to the library versus Mama, can I go to the library? Like, there's that weird accent on the Arabic. It's weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's the same thing but backwards for me.
You know how we have like a couple Arabic and Urdu words that as a group we say? Mm-hmm. Like, y'all know what rista is, y'all know what pani is, you guys know what naan is, right? So whenever I say pani, right, that is with a slightly Urdu shifted accent, right?
Yeah, slightly, yeah.
But when I say it in an English sentence, it doesn't sound any different. It's like, I'm gonna go get some pani.
Yeah.
Right? But if I said it the other way, if I was like, mujhe water lena.
Yeah.
Ooh, you hear it. You can
be like, what?
You can hear where I'm stopping.
Like,
water? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So it's very strange because, yeah, it's like what you're saying. It's like one way, but not the other. You can't really go down the other way. It's kind of confusing. It's weird. It's weird sounding. Also, because I have certain friends in my classes now that do speak Urdu and I talk to them in class in Urdu, not the annoying ethnic way where you make people feel bad without talking behind their back. Mm-hmm. Just the normal way.
Right.
I'll like turn to my teacher and then I'll accidentally say something halfway like Urdu English.
Right.
But it's because I was talking to somebody who was Urdu, right? So I'll be like to my friend, I'll be like blah 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 blah, and then my professor will be like, Assad, what's the answer to this equation? And then he'll be like, you put the X on that side, and I'm like, oh man, that must have translated so weird.
No, what I do, and I realize I do you and Urdu have like words that are not exactly words, but they're more like sounds, but you just like they're meant for words.
But they're words.
There's exactly that one. There's an Arabic word I don't know if it's a word or not, but it's in English you spell it Lik, right? It's lick, whatever, lick whatever. So in Arabic it'd be like liklish, which means like why. It literally just means why. But whenever you're mad, like liklish, liklish is this happening, right? Lick is not a word. I don't think it's a word. If it is, I'm stupid. I never once learned that was a word. But I don't think it's a word. And so in English, if I'm mad or I'm speaking to you, or like I think I did this with like Thomas once, but I never catch it until after I say it. I'll be like arguing with him, be like, bro, no, like if you do this.
Oh.
And I'm like, wait, hold on. What? And then I'll say little like, sometimes I'll say full on words, but it's just those weird little things that I've never once I catch myself saying, but I'll do it in English not knowing I do it. Mm-hmm. It's like, Nick, Thomas, bro, shoof. Shoof means see, and I'm like, why did I just say it in Arabic?
Yeah.
You're like, look, dude, do this. But instead, I'll just say shoof, look.
Have you ever told a normal person, like, yallah?
I would say, yallah, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like,
huh? I'm like, sorry, my bad, let's go.
Yelling at me? What?
Or I do the double thing. So, like earlier I said, shoof, right? Shoof means look, or like see, right? So it'd be like, shoof, this is happening. Like, look, this is happening, right? I literally will say both Arabic and English, like, shoof, look, this is happening.
Oh, that's
so look is happening.
A lot of parents say that. Like, ethnically, they'll say the word and then they'll say it in English again. Like, right next to it.
But it's not that I'm trying to translate it. It's more of like, it's just coming out.
Interesting.
And it's like, I think I was arguing with Thomas again. I'm like, shoof, look, this is happening like this because my computer sucks. I didn't mean to translate look. I was just like, it happened to come out. I don't know. It's weird.
Have you ever combined? I mean, I guess it works differently. For me, when I speak French, sometimes Urdu will mix in there. So I get Furdu, right?
Furdu?
Or I get Franglish.
Yeah.
Or I'll get Ingurdu, right? Yeah. So like I'll like weirdly combine the languages in like very strange ways. So like I was watching a movie one time, and I think it was like the trailer part. And I leaned over to my brother and I said something mixing French and Urdu. He knew what I was talking about because he speaks both French and Urdu. Mm-hmm. But then I was like, I don't know what I just said. I was so confused. And I was like, Danish, what did I say? And you were like, oh, you wanted to go to the bathroom or something. You want me to wait and like tell you what happens after the movie. And I was like, you got all that?
What?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. Language is really weird. Yeah. Like, it's so like literally off the tongue. So like sometimes it's like these little innate things you don't really know about. And they kind of like creep into your way of life.
Yeah.
And I feel like now that, I guess being older, I've had to make a slightly harder effort to, like, learn Urdu and stuff. I feel like it's coming out a lot more now. Like, I feel like I just look at you and shoot random Urdu words at you, and you do your best to understand it.
But like,
and I'm like, why did I do that? Why am I doing this? And then I'm like, yeah, but I kind of want to speak. That's where that urge to want to speak to someone else comes from. Because I like, with French, I really want to talk about, like, things with other people. There ain't nobody, bro.
Bro, that's why when Thomas told me he's gonna learn Arabic, I'm like, hell yeah, bro. We'll be in the middle of like a restaurant cussing out the waiter in Arabic.
Exactly.
And if you know, like, I know he's not gonna know half of it. Like, Amar knows Arabic, right? But he knows the formal version of Arabic. I don't speak the formal, like, the normal thing, you don't speak formal Arabic.
Formal Arabic is like the way the Quran was written.
Yeah, it's more of like, a good comparison I figured out was normal English, which is like just slang English, versus
like
Beethoven.
English?
Shakespeare, that's what I meant. Beethoven, what the hell? Shakespeare.
Yeah.
So it's slang Arabic versus Shakespearean Arabic.
What? You egg?
Yeah. How dare thou? You know?
Yeah.
I don't speak that. So when Omar speaks to me, sometimes he'll like say the word informal, and I'm like, convert that to English, but he's gonna need the response, so convert that to Arabic, converting to formal. Now come back out.
Process this through
it
four
takes
different
a bit,
converters.
Or sometimes, like, if he's asked me, like, what is this word in Arabic? I'll say the slang version, and then I'll forget he doesn't speak slang, so I'll say, like, the actual, the formal version. If I know it, obviously. Like, the formal's weird. We have a whole other thing. Formal words, there's dialects and there's formal dialects. So, Palestinian can have a dialect by itself, or Syrian, and then Syrian has its own formal, and Palestinian has its own formal.
Yeah, I think it's because the scholarly sides of the cultures have a very specific way of talking, the more rooted, very old way of talking. So it's like they need a separate distinction. It needs to be different.
This is a weird whole side tangent type of idea, but do you ever, like, you're listening to a religious scholar speak or whatever, and they'll sometimes say, based on translations from whatever religious book or whatever,
just about to bring this up,
they say 10 years, 100 years, or 50 years. You sit there and you're like, translating means you say egg in Arabic, and then you translate it to egg. right?
Mm-hmm.
Sure, there might be different dialects. It'll change based off of what you understand, based on dialect, whatever. Yogurt, milk, Egyptian, Syrian. But numbers usually don't change dialects.
Yeah, numbers aren't that complicated.
So whenever they say, yeah, you're supposed to fast for 3 days, but some scholars say you're supposed to fast for 5, or some scholars say you have for 13, up to interpretation based off of the scholar, how do you mess up like the number, bro, by 100,000 years?
And I think it has to do with that formal Arabic. Because,
but yeah, it's a number though. Like there's no different dialects for numbers.
But I think the source text, it's not a number as far as it is like a range. Like if I tell you like you will walk until your feet can't carry you, right? Like how many steps is that?
No, they'll literally say fast for 3 days. That's what I'm saying. Like it'll be like for
well, maybe then they're like, is it lunar days? Is it solar days? Is it?
That's I don't know.
I mean, the exchange there is only a day up or down roughly. So I don't know how it goes from 10 to 15 to 100. Like that's kind of
maybe not 100. But I'm saying like I've seen.
No, I get what you mean.
Yeah,
though.
I've seen like I've heard someone say like, yeah, it's scholars have argued if it's 10 years or like 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, why are they arguing? Isn't it just translation of just like a number or like a certain word? I understand if it's, different language like Urdu, Arabic, or if it's like Palestinian dialect versus like Syrian dialect. But some things like, why are we arguing here? Shouldn't it be the same thing?
I think not for numbers, but in general, I see that a lot, especially in Netflix movies. When I watch these Desi Netflix movies, the captions are good. They give you an idea about what they're saying.
Yeah.
But me as somebody who can understand the street language, right?
Yeah.
When I hear them speak and I know actually what they're saying, I laugh. And then like Brianna, who doesn't know Urdu, is sitting next to me. She's like, what'd they say? And I'm like,
they didn't say that.
Well, I mean, it's not as dry as the caption said. So like even people who are hired or AIs who are made to translate sound, they will still have their own interpretations, right?
Yeah.
And like sometimes mine is way funnier than what they're saying.
Yeah.
So I catch that a lot in movies. And in the numbers, I think in general, what I wanted to mention, same kind of thing, is the depth of the Arabic language, because it's one of the oldest languages, is so vast. That's where you get all those weird halfway religious things where they're like, oh, it could have been the moon, or it could have been a metaphor for life.
Yeah, like during the Ramadan thing, they're like, until you can't see the moon. Oh no, yeah, you don't break your fast until you can no longer see the moon from when you go outside with a black and a white thread and you cannot tell the difference. Right? And people are like, well, I can see the moon if there's or like, and then they'll have arguments that there's light now, electricity, and they said that back then without electricity. Mm-hmm. Or the same thing for Eid, for example, at the end of the month, the celebration, they're like, that you have to see the moon. Mm-hmm. Well, we got microscopes, or not microscopes, telescopes.
Yeah. So you can see them whenever.
With a bare eye. I think they say with a bare eye.
Yeah.
But like now what? It's weird. It's
really
weird.
Because especially the scholars in Saudi, they actually do have they have telescopes. So like they're not looking with the bare eye. They know they can.
Yeah, so that's why there's always arguments.
And they have weather predictions and moon pattern predictions that they have with count.
You can ask me and like some other like our Muslim friends, like Arab Egyptian friends. We start Ramadan based off of like a certain either scholar or a certain like region. I forgot what they're called in Arabic. But like one guy will say we're starting tomorrow, one guy will say we're starting today.
Yeah.
Right? And it's all because of what they believe. We see it with our bare eye. Oh no, we saw it with a telescope. And so we see. Like it's always those little weird arguments because no one fully understands. Mm-hmm. But some arguments I'm like, bro, Arabic is Arabic, bro. Why are we arguing, dude?
Well, see, the thing is, it's really funny because the lunar calendar, mathematically, you don't need to look at anything. Like the weather will change because of the wind or pollution or whatever, right? But the distance between the Earth and the Moon only changes a fingernail distance. Yeah, and it's so minute. The orbit, there's not a lot of variation. So like scholars from back in the day, like freaking invention of algebra, they calculated the lunar cycle till now probably, or even beyond, when some guy was just having his free time. They know when the moon will be. So that's why when all the religious stuff was mixing, they were like, we know when the moon is, so why are we looking at the moon? And some guy was like, just trust me, just look at the moon.
Look at the moon, you gotta.
So then that's where you get those things where like the Shias will be like, oh, the moon is like this, and the Sunnis will be like, the moon is like that, and then we're both looking at the lunar calendar like, this is what the moon is though. Like, why are we not doing it?
That's why whenever like we talk about Ramadan, it's coming up in 2 weeks right now. You're like, oh, I think it's gonna be like, I don't know, April 2nd. I'm like, oh, well, I heard it might be like April 4th, and like we kind of like,
you know why? Because the Sunni scholars in Saudi are seeing a slightly different moon than the Iranian scholars for the Shias. So as a result, we see slightly different moons, and that's why we have different days for stuff.
The night before Eid, my dad usually like he'll sit and he'll listen to the one in Saudi. Sure, okay, he says it's tomorrow, but he'll also say Richardson's saying it's not tomorrow,
Oh my
and then he'll also
God.
say Syria's saying it is tomorrow.
I know.
Egypt's saying it's in 2
It
weeks.
happens all the time. Like, oh, Frisco is actually saying this.
And they'll wait until like everyone's on the same page, and my dad will decide if we're if the mosque we're actually going with.
Dallas is saying this. Freaking San Antonio is saying. Austin is saying this. I'm like, dude, just pick a moon. Just pick a moon. There's only one moon. Just pick a moon.
Look at the moon. Can you see it? Yes. Good. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, but like I remember talking with somebody. I mean, I don't know if it was you or somebody else, but I was asking. I was like, we were talking about the depth of Arabic and all this stuff, and he was like, "Yeah, your name, Asad.
Oh yeah, me.
There's like 50 different ways to say lion. There's like sitting lion, standing lion, angry lion, courageous lion." And I'm like, huh?
My mom, I think my dad asked me when he first like met you or whatever, or he first heard your name.
Which Asad I am?
Yeah, he was like, "Which Asad is he?"
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Is he Asad, which is mean like the happiest, or is he Asad, which is the lion?" And I'm like, I think you said Asad.
I'll show you the poster in my room. Actually, you'll get all the information from that. But mine's the Persian version. And it means because my Urdu Persian, I don't know. Asad in Arabic is 2 S's. That's lame. So
it is, honestly.
Mine is the courageous lion, like the.
I mean, Asad also means like courageous. It's type of idea.
But the lion specifically.
And lion.
And I used to be very proud of that.
The courageous lion.
I was courageous about the courageous lion.
Like Safina is just a boat.
Yeah. What is Amar? Amar means like wise, right?
Amar means the builder.
Builder.
Amar means like I'm better like build.
Oh, yo, Hammer.
Hammer? His name is Hammer?
No way.
It means like the builder.
Oh, way. And then Ibrahim is wise then, I guess?
Prophet.
Just
Prophet Abraham.
Really?
That's where it comes from.
So does Muhammad also mean prophet? Does Isa also mean prophet?
Prophet.
No. The names have different meanings. Like Muhammad means like the one you trust.
All I know is like I know Ibrahim is like a prophet, and when you like Google it more, it's like smart and like / intelligent, and something else like best looking, and I'm like, hell yeah.
I think I remember reading somewhere this one of the very varying definitions is bricklayer.
Who?
Ibrahim. And I think it makes sense because he built the Kaaba. So that's why they call Ibrahim the person who creates the foundation for something.
Meaning of Ibrahim.
Let me
look at it real quick. In Arabic. See, when I look it up, it says in Arabic and Urdu and Islam.
LOL. Choose your pick. Choose your pick.
Father of many.
Oh.
Damn, bro.
He's also called the Eternal Father.
I just coughed.
You okay? Yeah, I get name. Urdu, Hindi, Arabic, Islam, English.
Yeah, see, it's and Hebrew means father of many, but they also spell that differently.
Interesting. Is it Abraham or
Abraham is the name of the most important prophets in the Quran. Abraham is an Arabic form of Abraham, which is the Hebrew of Avraham. I don't know, meaning the father of many, which I don't know too much about that one. I never actually read that one before.
It's Avraham.
I guess Ibrahim.
Right. That's where we get Abraham from. Avraham.
I guess it is father of many.
Don't look at babycenter.uk, bro. Look at something else more brown.
Wikipedia, father of many.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I said in Arabic, sometimes written ASS80. Dude, I don't know if I mentioned this. People used to call me Assad, bro.
Assad.
That was my nickname. Like Acid, Assad, like so many. Just Sad, Asad.
Dude, this one is hilarious by urdupoint.com. Ibrahim is a Muslim boy name which originates from the Arabic language.
Your lucky number is 7.
According to numerology predictions, lucky number for Ibrahim is 7. Ibrahim name meaning in English are Prophet Abraham.
That grammar.
First of all, that grammar is horrible. That's your fault because you're urdupoint.com.
Hey.
Second of all,
bases are broken, bro.
I never knew there was a number associated to my name. My lucky number is 24 because that's when I was born.
Bro, I need to name my kid Asadullah, bro. That would be sick.
Oh, God.
Because Asadullah apparently is one of the names of God.
I don't think you're allowed to name...
Lion of God.
I don't think you're allowed to name anyone...
if your name is Muhammad, then you're kind of screwed.
The name of God.
It's not the name of God. It's one of the 72.
Any sort of... Yeah, I don't think you're allowed to name any of your... Abdul Rahman is like the worshipper of God.
But there is Rahman.
Rahman is
like
just
Asher's last name is Rahman.
Yeah, and that just means like Rahman is like the thing. Actually, there's certain word. I'll look into it later, but I know there's certain.
I want to know what you're saying.
There's certain names you're not to use because like they're connected to like God in a certain way. I think they're God's names or something.
Yes.
All those names, something like along the lines of that.
Well, okay, so there's like the 72 names of God.
Yeah,
and those are like titles.
Yeah,
as well as names, and then there's other names of God. Like basically every prophet after Islam was like more solid, like I would say maybe Abraham on, was some sort of name relating to a title for Allah.
Yeah, there's something along the lines of that.
And dude, Asadullah is just dope though.
That sounds dope.
That sounds so dope. But then I feel like that's also the name of a very Arabic F-boy.
Yo, bro,
all of the F-boys I know
Asadullah.
are like Muhammadullah,
Yeah.
Rahimahullah, and I'm like, alright bro, you can relax now. Like you don't need to be that up in my face. Bro, you know what happened the other day? When I was at the masjid, or the mosque, my mosque is very small, right?
Yeah.
We splintered off from another mosque, so we have less people, and we still found a group of brown F-boys. And the poor uncle was literally brooming them out of the masjid because they were taking up space in the front entrance and people were trying to leave. And he was like, get out, please. You're taking room. And I was like, I felt so bad for this guy. I hate him. He's kind of annoying. But I hate them more.
That's fair.
And it was like the weirdest thing. Where did they come from?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of funny. We're both just sitting here Googling things.
Have you ever thought about what you're going to name your kids?
I had a couple names, but I have no clue.
I used to keep a list because I would run into really beautiful names, specifically for girls. I would always hear so many beautiful daughter names, and I was like, oh man, if my daughter's name was Iman. The only thing is Iman is like the second most popular Arab girl name. Sarah is one, Iman, and then what's the other one?
Sarah's one?
Sarah's like the most popular.
Oh, wait, 100%.
Or Fatima. Fatima and Sarah are like
Fatima John.
the most popular Muslim names ever. Like Hassan, the reason Hassan doesn't have two S's in his name is because we wanted his name to be different.
Yeah.
Everybody else is
How do you spell his name?
Hasan.
Yeah, my nephew, his name is Hasan, and his name is like Hassan.
I love your nephew.
Yeah.
He's different.
His name is Hassan. And I used to always argue with my sister when she was naming him, like, why don't you name him, why isn't there two S's? She goes, because then it's Hassan, which is a whole different name.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, I mean, honestly, you can just say like two S's and then like, Hassan, but oh, well, okay, sure. This question here says, can you have the name Allah? And it says, however, the Council on American Islamic Relations said using Allah as a surname was culturally insensitive.
Wow.
Yeah, it says you would never use just Allah. That would be considered very inappropriate. Well, I mean, I was using just Allah.
But see,
I'll look
it's
into it.
it's not Allah. It's
it's
Abdullah.
Like, yeah. Abdullah's allowed, but there's certain like
Ramiullah,
there's
Asdullah.
certain names. I'm gonna go home and ask my mom about this, but like there's certain names you're not allowed to name just because there's connections to God or something, and you're not trying to call your kid God.
Dude, but
in a sense.
Asadullah means God's lion. The lion of God. That's hard, dude. That's awesome.
What's the shoot? I remember. Who's the gatekeeper of hell?
I used to know the name.
Not Nebula.
The angel? We're talking about the angel, right?
The guy in like all the Egyptian movies, and like he's a big black dog who comes up and take his life.
Oh, in Egyptian movies. Ra?
No, I thought that was the sun. That was the sun god.
Google it.
What are they called?
Egyptian god of the underworld.
Egyptian gods. I'm just gonna do that because I know Horus and Anubis.
Anubis and Horus are both for death stuff.
Horus? Shoot, I don't remember what it is.
Say underworld.
Underworld, yeah. Of the underworld, that's the first thing that pops up.
Osiris. Oh, that's so sick.
I don't even know.
That's so sick.
Well, it was not what I was thinking of. Well, I mean, yeah, the guy with the head.
They all have animal
Anubis.
heads.
That's what I was thinking of.
Anubis as well.
God of the underworld. Anubis in Arabic. I used to wanted to name my son that.
Anubis would be kind of dope.
It's in Arabic. But my mom told me, she was like, why the hell would you name your son that?
That's like naming your son freaking like God's fire. Or what's that weird name? It's not Gabriel. It's like an off of Gabriel. It's
Gabriel.
Like,
I don't know.
Yeah. Gabriel. I've heard like a really, really Christian name. Basically, like it's like God's warrior or something.
Anubis.
Anubis.
That doesn't really do anything. I guess like
Anubis.
God of the underworld. Just be Shaitan. You name your kid Shaitan.
I was gonna say Shaitan first, but then I was like, do you really want to do that one? Can you name your kid Jibrail?
Yeah, Jibrail. Yeah, I know a bunch of them.
You know Jibrails?
I mean, like Jibril is one of them.
Jibril. I've never met a Jibril.
I've known Jibril.
Do you know any Asads?
I know like way too many.
Really?
Yeah.
I've only ever met
my first friend in
3.
Sunday school, his name was Asad.
It was meant to be.
Yeah, except he spells it with 2 S's. I
What
think.
a loser.
Or 1 S. I actually don't remember. Never mind.
I've only met like 3 or 4 in my entire life, and they've all been Shia. Not because I'm in an area where they're Shia. It's just they were just always Shia.
Damn, bro. Anubis could not have missed our arrival. لا يمكن ألا يلاحظ Anubis قد
But it got quiet.
قدوما.
But it got quiet. But it got
There's
the
no
hard
tashkil,
words.
bro. There's no
The hard words.
there's no
but it got quiet.
symbols, bro. I understand all of it, but there's no symbols. So I can say a word without the symbol and say completely opposite word. I've gotten yelled at by my mom while reading Quran for accidentally missing up a symbol and saying that's actually haram for you to say.
Really?
There's
Why would you make
things.
a word if you make a mistake? It's haram, bro. That's like such
God
bad
did,
design.
As God did.
God didn't invent Arabic.
And that's how we enter.
No. Hold on. Okay.
When God sent down the Quran,
Well, he wrote it.
Was in Arabic.
He wrote it in Arabic, but that was because that was the language of the time.
no, that's because it's Arabic.
What was the Torah written in?
I don't know. I don't ask
Not
that
Arabic.
questions. I don't know, but
It's written in Hebrew.
Whenever we
Old
first
Jewish language.
the first copy of
The Bible
Quran,
was written in also.
the first copy of the Quran was in Arabic, and the word that he's saying, the thing, no, it's not like he puts the word as a normal word, right? It's like saying apple, right?
Mhm.
But you mistakenly say
Ipple.
ipple, and you're like, I'm an idiot, and
Nipple.
I have dyslexia, and now instead of saying God's apple, you're saying God's ipple, which is just like weird. It's like haram. It's like you're messing up a whole like thing for it.
For all of our listeners that don't know, in Arabic, there's like a version of the language, the one that most Qurans are written in, where there's certain like grammar punctuative marks over the letters that help you know which sounds to make. So, for example, one of the letters in the Arabic language is an alif, right? And if there's a line on the top, it means that you go ah. If there's a line on the bottom, that means you go e. And if there's a line, not a line, there's like a dot with a little like comma thing on the top, that means you go oo. So when you learn the Quran, those lines are there.
Yeah.
But then when you actually learn the real language, the one in the newspapers, the one that people
There's
speak,
no thing.
it's not there.
That's
The
what-
Urdu too, it's not there.
That's what we were referencing earlier when we said like I can't read banners in Egypt. Like I literally have no clue how to read like a banner in Egypt.
Also, unfortunately, because Urdu and Arabic are very calligraphic languages, they use the shapes hard.
Yeah.
Like they'll put languages or words inside each other, on top of each
Instead
other,
of a circle
behind
and like
each other.
they'll put like a whole sentence and like a circle, and so it looks like really weird.
Yeah, my necklace right now is like
Calligraphy.
it
Calligraphy be
literally
lit.
looks like if you took a word soup, added all of the letters from all the other boxes in the entire grocery store, and
then
put
threw
them
an Arabic in there.
Yeah, and then made them all Arabic.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know where to start. The only thing is that there's a big letter ka in the beginning, so I know okay, at least that's
What is it supposed to say?
it's
I can't read
cool,
it. It's
right?
dark.
Well, I can't read it.
Kuliya
either.
al-kafirun?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's all the cools at once, so you can start and go in any direction. You'll get one cool, the other cool.
Is this supposed to be like when you bought it? What did it say?
It was the cools. 4 cools written. 4 cools.
Oh,
4 cools
كل أهل
necklace.
الكافرون كل أعوذ برب الناس
And
كل
Ikhlas.
all the last three essentially.
And, yeah, Nas and all this. So like
Yeah.
it's 4 freaking prayers in one,
Yeah,
and I don't know where to start. It looks cool though.
I mean, I kind of maybe if there's more light on them. I don't know.
How would you know where to start though? Like it's like
It's always right to left, so you just choose one and figure out where you're going.
well, yeah, but you can go clockwise, counterclockwise, upside down.
Those are tedious. Like the ones I showed us last time are just like little like Ain Mubarak ones you can figure out. But there's random dots sometimes. I'm like that dot is not useful. Why is it there?
Yeah.
Just to make it look pretty. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, that
Yeah,
was a
I
long
think
episode.
I think we talked y'all's ears off long enough, so I think we'll.
But
cut
now
the
you can
episode
convert.
off
So
here.
congrats.
Yes, now you have. This is like a Muslim starter pack.
We got Ramadan
Episode.
coming, bro. Y'all better
Oh
wait.
yeah, actually, so when we made the podcast, like we wanted to do special episodes during Ramadan, especially since we'll be starving and very, very irritated. So we'll have very interesting conversation.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Actually,
More interesting than doors and wheels, probably. So we want to
bro,
do
that
some,
conversation we had at Beaches with all the boys.
We brought it
Door
up
versus
again
wheels.
with our friends, and it did not go
Did
well.
you notice how like majority of it, like I didn't, you were arguing, but I didn't want to say too much
Because we
like,
already had the
I
argument.
already had the argument with you. I don't want to have the argument with anyone else.
I know.
I also just want to see what like they're gonna pull out of their butt. Plus, some of them are like actual engineers. Like I saw Amar actually knows how to like make a robot, and so he knows what a wheel
He was
is.
very in disbelief of the gear ratio, like the gear
gear thing?
comparison, because
Yeah.
he's like, a gear is a wheel with teeth, but also not really, but also, and we were like, Bro, you gotta pick, man.
Yeah, I don't know, but like the whole argument, I was kind of just sitting there like laughing every now and then. I would say something, but I'm like, this is funny, bro.
Yeah.
They need to listen to the episode and get pissed off even more.
Maybe this is why they invented the controversy. So just you could see people tear each other apart.
Maybe.
Just for fun.
Why debates? Yeah.
I mean, it works.
I want to know what Anubis is in Arabic now. Damn. Okay. Anyway.
Yes, so you have the Muslim starter pack. Just the basic amount of information.
And how to get, ripped off at vendors.
Yes, so make sure you don't have an accent. Make sure you speak the right language.
Make sure you change your color, your skin color.
You can probably get whatever you're trying to buy for like 40%, 50% off.
Yeah.
Actually, 90 really. Like it
yeah.
depends on how
like
hard
for
you
you,
go.
baby, it's $5, but I'll give it to you for $6.
Because you did a tashid, bro, I'm gonna have to give you
because you're wearing the Crocs? Very good.
Because you're wearing the Crocs.
Because I like your skirt? $2 off.
Because you have a nice beard this morning?
Yeah, shirt, beard, and Crocs. Take it for free, Habib. Anyway. Thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, thank you guys for showing. We'll catch you guys in the next one, alright?
Alright, bye-bye.
Bye.
Adios, puppies.
For the Hafiz.